Welcome to the National Telegraph breakdown of the CPC leadership debate. The best leadership debate I have honestly ever seen in my entire life from this party of usual idiots. Wyatt Claypool will be joining us later, as he thought the debate was at 7:30 his time in Alberta, and then I corrected him, but he has to go get ice for his mom for her party. He's being a good boy. He's being a good son, and he's getting ice for someone, so he will jump on later in the debate. But right now, we will go over we together. We'll go over the CPC leadership debate. I will start with my, most heterodox take here. I think the big takeaway and sort of the big meta-analysis coming from this debate, I would say, is the unvaccinated and the freedom protesters are now considered people in the new Conservative Party. And that's a major shift. Under Aaron O'Toole, the base of the party, anyone who's protesting for freedom or against vaccine mandates, whatever, they were haram. Now, under the new leadership race, they are a coveted voting base. So that's one of my big takeaways, which leads me to point B here, is what I've learned from tonight. I think the biggest endorsement going forward is Roman Baber. Now, could Roman Baber win? Maybe, all these different things. He had a very good night. Roman Baber did a very good job of standing on his record. I think all four candidates, outside of Roman Baber, we'll ignore Patrick Brown for now, but all four candidates do have a problem of where were you the last 2 years on all these draconian laws? They all have a major problem with answering that question, except Roman Baber, who could say, I got kicked out of Doug Ford's party for opposing vaccine mandates, this, that, and the other. All of that is well within his wheelhouse, and it connects with the base. So Roman Baber is someone that it's very hard to criticize, saying, where were you when, well, he could say, I got kicked out of the party for, saying X, Y, and Z. So Roman Baber has gained a lot of credibility, I think, among the Conservative Party base, because, again, he was the only one in that leadership race to stand up to mandates and all this. Now, once O'Toole was removed as leader, Pierre Poilievre and Leslyn Lewis and others did come out and start to be anti-mandate. We covered that on sort of breakdowns of, sort of polling data and all that. We've done that dance before. But under the O'Toole government, no Conservative MPs spoke out. Now, the defense of Lewis, Poilievre, Atchison, and the rest of them is, if they had spoken out under O'Toole's leadership, they would have been out of a job. They would not be able to continue the job as MP. Had they been pro-freedom, pro-conservative values under Aaron O'Toole's leadership, they would have been kicked out unceremoniously. It's just the way it is. Now, you could say, well, and then this is a great sell for Roman Baber, which Roman Baber took these sort of, hey, I actually was willing to get kicked out of Doug Ford's Conservative Party to stand with civil liberties. So Roman Baber has a very good selling point here, where I was the one who stood against this. So Roman Baber has a lot of integrity to sell to a candidate. So if you look, after the debate, everyone was very nice to Roman Baber. Right? Not a lot of people, no one threw punches at Roman Baber, which is very, very interesting. Okay? Roman was sort of this, we could say outsider. Listen, his record isn't the strongest, most fiscal conservative. He comes from an Ontario Conservative Party. He's much more philosophically closer to a red Tory through his career, but not a very, very red Tory. Not Patrick Brown. Roman Baber is not in the same planet as Patrick Brown, which is Planet Trudeau, which is where Patrick Brown is. But Roman Baber is not your strident, fiery conservative from Ontario. He's never been that. But Roman Baber, when things went insane and it went too far, he eventually stood up and said, I'm willing to risk my political career to talk about lockdowns in all these ways. He also was very I won't say relatable, but he was the type of anti-lockdown politician that could appeal to the center. He was a productive anti-lockdown politician to both sides of the aisle. You see these internationally, and I think everyone would know, there are anti-lockdown politicians who went fire and brimstone. Rah, 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 rah. They went all out there and they went hardcore to the anti-lockdown base, and that's fine for what they did. But politicians, let's say in Ontario, the Randy Hillier versus Roman Baber appeal. Randy Hillier appealed much more to the people who already hated lockdowns. If you hated lockdowns and you were on the side before, Randy Hillier appeals a lot more to you. However, if you are in the middle, if you kind of disagree with lockdowns and think all your friends and family are a little bit crazy and you're looking for someone to criticize lockdowns, Roman Baber is a much more appealing politician to you. So Roman Baber played that sort of role in the last election. All this being said is Roman Baber managed to, endear himself to, anti-lockdown process. Because, if you're on that side, you like Baber, you like Colorado, you like Hillier, you like everyone who went against it. What Roman Baber has now as political currency, and why everyone's nice to him, is he's likely not going to win. But Roman Baber saying nice things about you, saying you're pro-freedom, is a really, really valuable endorsement. I don't hate Scott Atchinson's, campaign at all. I think it's fine. I think he's done a good job for what he is. I didn't love his debate to performance. His debate to performance was good for the faint of heart, for the old school conservatives who don't like punches being thrown. Atchison did fine. But honestly, Scott Atchinson's endorsement doesn't matter to anyone. Patrick Brown's endorsement only matters to Jean Charest. Jean Charest's endorsement only matters to Patrick Brown. They don't need to endorse each other because Patrick Brown voters will put Charest number 2, and Charest voters will put Patrick Brown number 2. Unless they're Jewish and Patrick Brown keeps appealing to, anti-Semitic terrorist organizations, in which case Patrick Brown, it's probably, Baber 2 or whatever. This is all where we are now. So this is sort of my biggest takeaway is Roman Baber won tonight in the sense that he sort of gained his political career back. And Roman Baber won the ability to sort of leverage a endorsement to the person he thinks is going to win for a chance to run in the federal Conservative Party. And I think this is a marriage made that benefits both parties there. So very likely you will see Roman Baber in about 4 months start to get a lot more friendly to Pierre Poilievre, likely, as Poilievre is the front runner. I think Roman Baber and Pierre Poilievre will make the very simple political calculation that Roman Baber's endorsement has value to Poilievre, so playing nice together works out well. It will bring over more freedom protesters, and Roman Baber will correctly assume that if he backs Poilievre, Poilievre stands to gain in his party by letting Roman Baber into the federal Conservative Party, because that lets the Conservative Party gain legitimacy by absorbing Roman Baber. Because the Conservative Party has a big problem here with a lot of people. A lot of you are saying, where the hell was the Conservative Party the last 2 years when they did X, Y, and Z? None of them stood up. They were all too afraid. This is why I like X, Y, Z, Maxime Bernier, whatever. A lot of you will say that. By bringing in Roman Baber, the Conservative Party now signals to everyone that, hey, there's a politician who stood against lockdowns. He's now part of our federal Conservative caucus. I think Pierre Poilievre is smart enough to do this, and I do think Roman Baber does work. I think Roman Baber is the big winner here. I think he gets his political career back. He sacrificed his provincial career, and then he managed to parlay that into a federal political career if he doesn't screw up, if he doesn't get caught with a 14-year-old girl or anything. I think he is on track to get into the federal Conservative Party. So let's leave this open. I want to hear your opinions. Let me know who you think won the vote. If you go before 306 from the sticks, as is a Pierre. Where do I see videos of Pierre and Roman? This is sort of all over. I watched the Global News one. True North has a full video of the debate. I think I have it open in another tab. So videos. So if you want to, anyone who's looking for a video of the debate, I just put it in the chat. But stay here. Okay, let me. Okay, someone's just spamming the chat. I can't do anything about that now. All right. So this was the best night for the Conservative Party ever. Oh, this is great. There was a debate? Was it fun? Yes, it was fun. It was fun. And this is the point I'm going to make. This was the best night for the Conservative Party that they've ever had in the post-Stephen Harper era. This is the best. I poured myself a drink. I flipped it on, and it was entertaining. And I saw fire and brimstone. If you've been watching, guess who's speaking of fire and brimstone? Why Claypool.
I would never apply that label to myself, but okay.
So that's where you go. So I just gave my my general heterodox take on Roman Baber being the winner, because Roman Baber has made it so his endorsement is now valuable. He's made the Roman Baber endorsement actually a political viable thing. So I've predicted, as I've told you, the Roman Baber Pierre Poilievre alliance in a few months, where Poilievre endorses Baber and brings it back into federal politics, and Baber endorses Poilievre for leader, and that way he gets a political career back.
We actually have to disagree then. I thought Roman Baber was one of the worst people on the stage other than Scott Aitchison. Roman Baber acted like a golden retriever the entire time who didn't want his family members to fight. It was kind of sort of silly. Like, I didn't understand what he was really adding. I understand that his record's quite good and that he adds a lot to the debate in that sense, but he didn't actually add it in. He had all this potential, and then the entire time he was just like, hey guys, let's stop fighting over substantial issues and talk about how we should all rap together and unify and hug. It was weird. Like, it was fine. I think he's a good guy. I think he needed to land a punch on like someone who was actually being ununifying. Like, if he went after Charest for being divisive, that would have been actually with his pro-unity message he had. But other than that, he was basically like, who cares if John Charest is a grifter? We should all be nice to him.
No. Okay, this is where we disagree. So I'm going to use a sports analogy because I know Wyatt wants one right now. Roman Baber wasn't trying to hit a home run tonight. He was trying to get on base. And what Roman Baber did is he faced 4 pitches outside and he just took a walk. He didn't strike out. He just, he did. Okay, so he had 3 at-bats tonight, 3 walks. That's what he just drew a walk everything because, he didn't go after anyone. And he wasn't trying to win. And he did that thing where he made the sort of reasonable, I just don't want anyone to fight. I'm looking for an adult. People be like, oh, Roman Baber. But then he also pushed his record. So like the sort of, I've been screwed over by the Conservative Party, screw them. He's like, listen, I got you. I was that guy who stood up for you, which means he stayed perfectly in the center, and he's a viable endorsement for literally everyone else. He's made himself a viable political commodity, is my point. So he didn't win. I'm not saying he won, but I'm saying he was never going to win, but he got on base. He threw 3
I think he could have won if he actually threw a punch and people were kind of like, oh, who's this guy? And then he could have been people's second pick, whereas he's everyone's 4th pick or everyone's 3rd pick.
No, but he's moved up from 4th pick to 2nd pick in some people. Like, I think I think he won a lot of second place votes tonight because a lot of people are like, yeah, Pierre, because he has the best chance to win, and screw this and that, and the economy. But Roman Baber did stand up for all this stuff during the whatever. So 2nd place, I'll go him, right? I think he managed to get 2nd place votes from both the Charest and the Poilievre people.
I think if you know a lot about Ontario politics, you'd know how long he'd be standing up for. On that debate stage, I don't think that comes across if he's been a strong fighter or not, because he didn't come across like a strong fighter, and that's kind of his problem, is he doesn't come off like as a strong guy. So he could have gone over his entire record on stage, and you wouldn't even remember that he did.
Yeah, that's why he's not a winner. He's the 2nd place, right? He's not the slugger. He's just drawing a walk, right? He's getting on base.
Okay.
High on base percentage. This is what I'm saying. Is just he has a high on base percentage, and I like people like that. I like people who draw walks. Jose Bautista, 2011, greatest season of all time. Not just because he hit lots of dingers, because he just would take a walk.
Wait. Well, what letter grade would you give him? Because the only thing I think is that you were even saying on Twitter right before we went on the stream is that you said that, well, that was one of the best CPC leadership debates since the Harper era, because there was actually a sense that these people would fight for you, and I didn't get the sense that Roman Baber would fight for me.
Yeah, but it was the entire debate was like Poilievre attacking Charest attacking Poilievre, Lewis getting involved, Scott Aitchison kind of undermining Lewis. Like, I think Lewis, I don't.
Wait, what? Sorry, let's just do Roman first. What letter grade? I give him a C-.
B+.
Okay, fair enough.
But if it's purely for Roman, B+ for like the leadership debate, for Roman's political career, like if I'm Roman Baber's agent, or like his wife, and like you need a pension, Roman, like A, it gets bumped up because it's like, you
fair enough. I could see him getting a cabinet position if he then ran for the federal party at some point.
Yeah, I think that's what he's angling for, is become a front bench MP in the federal party. Him and Melissa Landsman can do their little Toronto Jewish thing, right? And then work out a little song and dance there. somehow everyone loves Melissa Landsman in the debate tonight, which was I don't.
Her political qualifications is that Justin Trudeau said something that you could maybe construe as her saying that she's a Nazi, and that was really it. Like there was she's like an incidental minor political celebrity.
Yeah. Okay. So move on. Okay. So we're doing letter grades. Okay. So Roman Baber. Let's start with the most insignificant. Let's go to second, most insignificant letter grade. Scott Atkinson. What do you give him there?
Oh, the Scott Atkinson, the entire debate seemed like a father who was supposed to go pick his kids up from hockey practice and walked into the wrong building and got up to a podium and started debating with everyone else. And he just sort of had some CBC talking points, but he sometimes votes conservative in the past. That's kind of it. I don't think he wasn't like, I couldn't even see people who like Charest putting him second place. He'd be like fourth pick. I don't even get what he's doing. He finished himself by trying to first insinuate that there's a lot of conspiracy theorists who are part of the Conservative Party, because he says when we say this or whatever, or when one of our people says this and it hurts us with the mainstream and who pushes a conspiracy theory or whatever. I don't even know what he said. And then he tried to say it again when Leslie Lewis called him out for it, tried to imply that she's a conspiracy theorist. He just looked like a jerk while also being boring.
I gave him a C minus.
I'd give him like a D+.
Yeah, fair enough. Why it's a harder grade. I just had such a good time tonight that I'm in a good mood. Might have something to do with what I'm drinking. So yeah, C minus I think for Atkinson. So B plus Baber, C minus Atkinson. That's my grade so far. And then who do you want to do next? I'll let you pick the next guy.
Let's do Jean Charest, because I don't think we're going to have much. I think we could both not differ on this one too much. I think Jean Charest gets a C plus, just because I don't think he was as bad as people would have expected.
Yeah, I'm actually giving him a B because listen, he got booed, and it's very clear he's not going to win the leadership of this thing. But for being Jean, he couldn't just change personality to then all of a sudden be super based. Like all of a sudden he couldn't do that. And yes, Poilievre got the better of him. You know what? Actually, C plus, because Poilievre did get the better.
It's because even the gotchas, Pierre was able to turn the gotchas around and go back after him. So he seemed competent. He seemed like someone who you'd have as a leader. We don't want him as the leader of the CPC, but if he was like cast in a film as like the leader of a political party, you'd be like, I guess that guy's a leader. But again, he doesn't do himself any favors. He's not very good at fighting on the stage. He's the Joe Biden of this race, and he should have just stopped talking like 10 minutes into the race and just sort of made sort of nice sounding noises and let the whole thing go, and he would have probably retained more support. Like, this probably doesn't hurt him, because the people who are voting for him are probably quite disconnected from the reality of what the party wants.
Yeah, I agree there anyway. So it's like he couldn't do, the bar was so, the only reason I gave him a B originally is because the bar was so low that it's like nearly impossible for him to fail this debate, because he's like, he doesn't really care about the Conservative Party in general. So so I guess C plus, because okay, it's a B just for just existing. C plus comes down because
that's why I grade Atchison down. The whole point is that he just existed and then came off as a jerk. So he's already only at like a C minus. Because if you're just on stage taking up time, I'm kind of insulted that you're wasting my time. And I think most people you fall off their leadership ballot entirely if you just sit there. The problem with Charest is he was fiery, he was interesting to watch, so he got some points. But at the same time, he was always, at the end of the day, the guy who got beat. Like, it was like the film was cast for Pierre Poilievre to beat him on stage, and he kept sort of stepping on rakes the entire time. Not quite. It wasn't the worst. He had a couple decent one-liners about his leadership skills, but it's like, fair enough. But it wasn't really that great looking. Like, if you were supporting him, you would say, oh, like you got to do some more prep before we go to Edmonton.
Yeah, I mean, the only other way, like I say, I was B because there's nothing to lose or whatever. That's just like the standard Charest grade, because whatever. C plus because he let Pierre get the better of him on the Huawei thing, and then you can argue C goes down another point because Patrick Brown wasn't there to take punches for him. But I can't blame him for that.
Well, I think we both know that Jean Charest is there to take punches for Patrick Brown, while Patrick Brown gets more memberships. And to be fair, you could say that Patrick Brown's the sleeper winner, because Patrick Brown's only path to victory is signing up members, and by not showing up, he was probably out there signing up members. because no one who was watching a conservative debate likes Patrick Brown.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, give props to Patrick Brown for correctly assessing that he hates the Conservative Party and the Conservative Party hates him. Now, minus 10 points because he's running for leader of the Conservative Party, but plus 5 points because he realized that, hey, they hate me, I hate them, and my only way to win is to go into the Tamil Tigers and be like, hey, guys.
Yeah.
I know you've committed all those bombings, but I will apologize to you for putting you on the terrorist list. If you vote for me, come join the party. Hey, people who think Hezbollah is better than Israel, come join the Conservative Party. I love Hezbollah. You love Hezbollah. Let's Hezbollah it up. Let's Hezbollah. Hezbollah.
In a sort of certain funny way, I think his path to victory is the same as Leslie Lewis's path to victory, but they're on two different sides of the sort of like strategy where should be like storming as many churches as possible and signing everyone up, and he has to storm as many mosques as possible in Myanmar community events.
Yeah, that's Patrick Brown's game. Patrick Brown's great as a backdoor dealer. He's not so great out in front.
He's like should be a campaign manager. That should be his role. He'd be perfect for it, and then he just has to shut up about policy.
Yeah. Having a thirst for blood and a lust for power is his strong suit. All right, so let's get to Leslie Lewis. What grade do you give her?
I give her
on your thing.
I give her an A-.
Interesting. On the A-. I'm torn on the Leslie Lewis. I want to at some point.
I would put an A- with an addendum for next debate.
A- with an addendum. I'm oscillating between A++ and a C. And it's like
I 100% get what you mean. Totally. That's what I'm saying with the A- with an addendum. Here, maybe I'll just say, if I'm her campaign manager, Steve Outhouse, first I'd fire myself because I'm a terrible campaign manager and lost her the 2020 race because I told her to do nothing interesting. But okay, after I fired myself as Steve Outhouse, I would leave a signed note of telling her what to do for the Edmonton debate coming up on the 11th, is that I would actually tell her to speak in monotone, speak as without emotion, because you're already just be an absolute like wolf shark on stage. It's much better. She kind of flusters herself trying to get the emotional delivery up. I don't think it's very good. If she just talked like this, was clear and deliberate, very professional, it would be fantastic. She's corporate in a good way. I think that would actually work well for her. And though the thing I'm giving her the A for, it's the minus, but I'm giving her the A because she actually landed punches and she showed that she's awake and she can actually throw punches. She should have thrown more punches at Charest. She was going after Pierre, but I think what she's trying to do right now, at least in the first debate, is dig out that she's not just second banana to Pierre Poilievre. Because I think a lot of Pierre voters say, Pierre first, Leslin second, that's my ballot. And she's saying, no, you actually might like me a little bit better. Not that Pierre's bad, but I have the edge. Basically, she's arguing for the edge. She's not saying Pierre's bad. She's saying, but I have the edge.
So my A++ for Leslie Lewis. And I think this debate shows that someone on her team watches it and reads the National Telegraph and then said our opinions to her. And that's where the A++ comes in. Because Leslie Lewis's problem last time around was she was very soft. And if you've been listening to her analysis, what we know of Leslie Lewis is she's very, very easily pushed off a spot, very easy manipulated into not taking a strong position. Very I've never accused Leslie Lewis of not being a Christian and not believing and not being a true conservative. She has all those things. Leslie Lewis is not fake. Leslie Lewis's problem is that she has been a coward. She was a coward when it came to fighting O'Toole and McKay, and she's not one right now. So this is the A++. First thing I saw, boom, Leslie's on fire. Leslie's coming out swinging. She's going hard. Now, where my C comes in and my D- and my F grades for her is this is my background as a stand-up comedian, okay? A lot of you might know I spent 5 years on stage rambling. I have pretty good stage skills. So when I see Leslie Lewis coming out firing on an opening statement, you got to have this prepared. On her opening statement, she's looking down, looking too much time, like it didn't connect, right? Yeah. If you're going to have an opening statement with fire, you got to be able to connect with the audience. You got to be looking up. The people out there in the audience have to be convinced that I'm not looking at notes, that I'm saying exactly what I want to you because I believe this. I really believe that diversity is our strength. And if we just get everyone to get vaccinated every single day, then we can increase movie theater capacity by 17% on every Wednesday when there's a full moon. Hashtag Justin Trudeau, right? Good, good sort of public speaking skills. But Lewis was kind of, her problem is she was going hard out, which was great. It was great to see emotion from Lewis. She just had trouble turning it into a human thing. Like
it was that's why I'm saying that. That's why if she actually goes more monotone in the way her delivery, she'd be perfect, because it's trying to keep up the emotional power to the people kind of delivery, which I just find I don't really care about. I don't think a lot of other people care about. Pierre kind of talks in a bit of a monotone, and it works really well for him.
No,
and
but Pierre can talks a bit of monotone, but he can shift up and down.
Yeah, I'm not saying like monotone, like stay like this the entire time. I just mean keep a general register, talk like you're in a meeting with just some of your friends. I think it'll work out much better than trying to like inspire people. Some people can do that, most people can't, and I wouldn't really attempt it, because we're not really in the 1880s anymore, where you have to have these kind of weird oratory skills to so the people 500 meters back can still hear you because you don't have a mic. Just sort of stick to talking to people, and that's probably the best way of doing it. And then if she was a little bit more of a more steady register, her attack lines would have been less clunky and didn't feel as sort of like, she didn't feel as flustered. And I think she was kind of flustering herself, trying to manage both her delivery and kind of keep her mind on what she's going to say against sort of the other candidates.
Yeah, I agree. So where Lewis gets an A is in the fact that she finally came out. She finally showed emotion. She finally showed gusto. She was hitting on issues that she was trying to win, right? And I always appreciate when someone tries to win. I love sports. I love politics. When someone is out there, Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. I love that. Baber was playing for second place, which fine, that's his thing. But Lewis can actually win, and he was playing to win the game. I like that. That being said, there needs to be some polish here. There needs to be better memorization of your points. And also her problem is, yeah, she hit on a lot of things. Like she did the great thing against, digital currencies. We talked about digital currencies, digital ID. That's great. However, this is where she'll fail to Pierre on people who care about this, because most people who really hate CBDCs or central bank digital currencies are kind of aware. And they're not against digital currencies. They're usually pro-Bitcoin. Most people who are really anti-CBDC, there's some people who are just against all of it. I get, but that's sort of the, I guess, less sophisticated thing. Is whereas Pierre, although he didn't bring up Bitcoin there, Pierre gets it. CBDC, central bank digital currencies, are bad. Whereas, and he sold that, and he knew when. Whereas Leslyn Lewis was talking about digital currencies in general and showed less understanding.
I think she's talking about the same thing, but it's like, yeah, you're not going to get the donors from this debate who are specifically donating to whoever's going to oppose CBDCs, which is not going to be the biggest crowd in the world, but it's going to be significant money going to a candidate who's actually willing to just oppose CBDCs. So she's like second place for those sort of donations. And I think that's more of a thing, because I think most people, when you say digital currencies, they know what you're talking about. But the crowd who will actually give you money to oppose those things wants to hear it articulated basically perfectly, or they don't really want to do anything for you. So why? So you gave her the C though because of the note checking? So
it's like this. It's this weird thing where it's like, I'm gonna give her, I think, a B+ in general, because I can't give her that A that I want to give her because she's trying to win. It's like an A because there's great progress. I see potential in this campaign now. She could throw punches, but a lot of those punches didn't land, and she did lose some people. There's some people who think she did not do well. She turned a lot of people off, and it's getting angry is a skill in public. Like, and it really is. Getting angry in a way that is productive is a skill. And like, I can actually tell you guys this because I spent a month literally trying to cultivate this skill. In the sense that when I was first standing on stand-up comedy, and I spent a month in Toronto before I went back to school one year, I was a very good written down comedian. Like, I'd write out my 5 minutes and all the jokes. I could do that. It was fine. Danny, you're a clever writer. But I always noticed that there's these people who had better sort of crowd work skills to da-da-da-da. So I spent an entire month of basically going up there without material, and this was a big show, like without material I had written, except for stuff I'd written that day. So it was like each day I'd write something new, but like have to come up with 5 minutes and get by on the skill of just, smoke and mirrors. And one of the things you learn is people can be really, really engaged when you get highly emotional. But to do it in a way that engages people is incredibly difficult. So Leslyn Lewis has only had a political career for a couple of years. She's getting a lot better than she was in 2020. What I'm saying, though, is if she wants to play this game, which she's shown that she wants to get, angry and get hyped up, it is a skill and a very difficult one to do. It can bring you immense benefit when you get highly emotional and invested and, into it. You can bring a lot of people onto it with you with just emotion and fire and brimstone, but you have to do it in a way that makes sense. And
She does come across too much like she's imploring her kid to do his homework, kind of a thing. A little bit too much of that. And again, that's why I'm saying, like, when it's almost like I would for her, because she seems like a little awkward when she feels like she's acting, which to a certain extent a lot of politicians are on stage. I would just, if you're trying to go for something easier, just kind of be tired. Just kind of take on the tone of being tired of it, and that's kind of easier to do. But yeah, I think with Leslyn Lewis too, the reason also why I give her the A- rather than the B+ like you is I think that after that debate, she didn't achieve her goal of trying to look like the front runner, at least in the debate, which was really hard because Pierre's already kind of like the front runner and everyone knows it. Whereas at very least she leapfrogged Jean Charest, and he's kind of irrelevant after that debate. That's why I only gave him C+ because he really does seem like the guy who shouldn't be there.
Yeah, I see all that, and you are right. That's a very good point. The easiest way to do it is seem exasperated and tired with things like, guys, this is crazy. You're right. If you're a beginner, that's a good Leslyn Lewis tactic. Like Leslyn, if you feel like you're not that confident in your public speaking skills yet, take the Wyatt approach. Take the Wyatt approach of just be exasperated and be like, guys, do the empathy. This is crazy. I think it's nuts. What are you going to do? My thing is, if you want to get to 11, well, you turned it up today. You can't start at 11. You have to work your way up there and do the wide thing. Like, start there. Just be like, guys, this issue, and get really involved with the unvaccinated. And just what Trudeau has done to make the people there, and he's divided the country, and then you can go into a rant because now you're mad at something because you've established that the thing you're ranting at is Trudeau. You established empathy at the beginning, but then you got to the Justin Trudeau and what he did, and that was your ramp-up point. So you have empathy at the beginning, so people come along with you, an inciting incident, Justin Trudeau's policies, then you ramp up and everyone comes with you. That's how you do the Daniel thing. And that's if you want to win, you're going to have to do my thing. If you want to just do better, I suggest Wyatt's is safer and will be more productive.
Yeah. But I guess this is where we sort of move on to
Pierre Poilievre.
Like, what would you give him right off the bat? Like, I'd say it's an A.
Yeah, I would agree with an A. I will get to the Lions draft class later at the show. Don't worry. That question's not being ignored. No, I think he gets an A. I think he wins. I think he sort of held serve. And I think he held serve as the front runner, which gets you an A because he went in as the front runner, the clear front runner, and he left as the clear front runner.
Well, he was a clip miner tonight. Every single thing he said could be turned into like a clip to be shared around Twitter or Facebook. It was very good looking. Like especially like his best moment was kind of doing his style from Question Period of whenever he doesn't get a question, doesn't get an answer, he'll just keep asking over and over again to make it absurd how much the person doesn't want to answer the question. When he was asking Jean Charest how much he's ever made from Huawei, and he wouldn't answer, and he just kept cutting him off and asking again and asking again. That was perfect. That's kind of the moment in my mind where everyone's like, yeah, Jean Charest is a joke. Even if you liked him, the fact that he can't answer, that's like a complete red flag. Like there's a no go after that.
Oh yeah, because Poilievre accomplished what he needed to do coming into tonight. Is he needed to not lose any ground and maintain position. He just needed to, not screw up, and he got stuff. So I think he, just by not losing ground, that's a B+. And then actually by gaining a few things, it's an A. And this is where Poilievre's biggest skill comes in. And I've always said, Poilievre has a skill for political theater. He knew how to throw down a slam dunk. He knew that Huawei question on Jean Charest was nuclear. And he knew that by making a shtick about it, he could get a clip with tens of thousands of views. That was, Okay, yeah. How did you comment on my YouTube thing? Okay.
Well, I'm allowed. Yeah, I can
Hey,
switch it. I was just answering Grigori, who was asking why I said
yeah.
Myanmarese or whatever, Myanmar people, and I was just saying it's because Patrick Brown keeps meeting with these like really small ethnic groups. Like he had a meeting with only Nepalese people, which was kind of weird. Like that's the sort of Patrick Brown sales pitch where he'll meet with you in your community and sell you memberships directly rather than having rallies where everyone shows up. He kind of shows up to pander to each community like individually.
He's a door-to-door vacuum salesman, but he's selling memberships to the Conservative Party.
Yeah.
Very good at it. He's a very good vacuum salesman.
What would you say? Is there anything that kept it from being a perfect, from being like a perfect performance from Pierre Poilievre? Because I don't give him the plus.
I don't even because I don't think he won over a lot of new people. Is his lack of A plus? Is if Poilievre had been, had sort of played all. If Poilievre had shown this sort of like multi-capable politician, where he was like, where he had moments where he was very composed and just like fact A B C D E F G, boom boom boom, positive appeal, no attacks, great. Here's my plan. Big round of applause. I'm above it all. And then at other points he gets attacked and then dunks on people and like shows he could defend himself. So if he had sort of done everything and like really brought in a lot of new people where people were like, I was kind of anti Poilievre, but now I'm pro Poilievre because I think he can be both a bulldog and a statesman. That was his A plus thing, is to bring in a lot of new people, but he gets an A because he sort of just maintained he had a large lead and he maintained it. And he also got scored, some viral clips.
And so actually, this is where you could even say Lewis got an A and tied Pierre for an A. I give her an A minus still, but the argument I'd make if I was to ever give her a higher grade was the fact that she did call him out for basically not caring about social conservatives. Not in like I'm not a social conservative, but you guys can say what you want. But he actively doesn't like social conservatives that much. By the way his campaign operates, doesn't really talk to them. He says you have a right to say what you want. And then he'll still say stuff to the media that, I'm not going to do anything for the social conservatives. So you could see him sort of losing some people from this debate if he doesn't sort of correct in the future and says, okay, I will give you guys, social conservatives, these limited policies. Whereas when you're giving them nothing, you run the risk of just having this sort of fiscally libertarian party with no one who really wants, where you're only going to have reluctant social conservative followers. You kind of want to even just throw out the smallest bit so those people don't think that you don't like them.
No, I agree. I think that's a good analysis. So I think we agree on sort of, Pierre comes out winning with the highest grade. I think Baber's number 2, but I don't think he's trying to win. Then
I'm doing the winning part, because even then Baber's not even trying to come in second. Baber's trying to come in a distant 5th and hope that he gets a cabinet position.
Yeah,
basically Roman Baber desperately wants to be Jim Karahalios, but he doesn't have Jim Karahalios' pizzazz.
Fair enough, but Roman Baber is set to come in second place when the dust is settled. If Pierre Poilievre becomes I think Pierre Poilievre will be the next prime minister. I think Roman Baber is in the best position to secure a high-ranking position in said Poilievre government. And that's the game he played tonight, and that's the game he won. So Baber was playing a different game than the others, and he played it. I think Baber and Atkinson were playing a different game than the other 3. The other 3 were playing winning. The other 2 were playing, increased name recognition to further political career. And I do think Atkinson has run a good campaign, and I do think this campaign will help him in the future with some name recognition, and he might become Minister of Agriculture or something. But I do think Baber is becoming a more valuable political asset for a future conservative government than the other 3.
Well, I just want to quickly grab a comment from the chat because it kind of concerns an article that you wrote today.
Cool.
In terms of what Michelle just said. Problem is PPC is still the only party that's concerned with our actual sovereignty and freedoms. And it's like the only reason I sort of disagree with that sort of sentiment is that the PPC has to demonstrate it actually cares. That's where they might actually lose out bad if Pierre Poilievre becomes the leader. Because when you're the party that still does not have EDAs and really isn't helping any other pro-freedom parties other than yourself, you kind of do start to seem like just an industry party. When I say an industry, I mean like you are the pro-freedom industry where you take in donations from people who like freedom, but you're never actually planning on winning an election. And that's kind of the problem with the PPC at the moment, is that actions kind of speak louder than words, and so far the PPC has not actually actively done anything.
Yeah, so to talk about the article that came out today, that came out just an hour ago that I wrote, what I was referring to is I wrote an article that the PPC needs the new Blue Party in Ontario to succeed long term. And what we're getting at here is the PPC doesn't have any infrastructure or formed EDAs. And a lot of people like the PPC because if you're unvaccinated, then every other political party tried to turn you into like literally a second-class citizen. No, they didn't try. They turned you into it. Like they didn't try. They succeeded. They succeeded in turning you to a second-class citizen. And that sucks. Like it wasn't fair. It was bullshit. And, it's empty for me to be like, yeah, I got vaccinated too, but I wasn't using my vaccine pass more than once. It's like, well, I get it. It's nice solidarity, but every political party was, attacked you, and I get that, and didn't stand up for X, Y, and Z. And the PPC is the only one. However, this isn't going to carry the PPC to victory. The PPC to victory, they need the infrastructure that New Blue has. And I wrote an article basically saying New Blue has fully formed EDAs of every single riding in Ontario. And again, there's a lot of crossover between the candidates too. What the PPC needs to do to win the next election, in my view, is Maxime Bernier needs to come out hard, endorse Jim Kalaharos, get involved in this Ontario race, endorse Kalaharos, win the favor of everyone on those EDAs on the New Blue thing, because you can join federal and provincial EDAs, because then it's very easy for them, those who set up the provincial EDAs, to just sign the same paperwork, and boom, the same thing as a federal PPC. So the PPC, if they back the New Blue, can turn all the New Blue infrastructure in Ontario into PPC infrastructure. And that's what has killed the PPC. Talk to PPC candidates. Like, I'm sure some of you might be PPC candidates here. Talk to PPC candidates. They're usually great guys or girls who like ran a small business and they finally saw all the problems in Canada. So they went to go fight the good fight, and they realized it was BS, and they went to go fight for you. These politics is corrupt and they're not standard politicians. And a lot of them had this crew of 10 or so volunteers that showed up at election time to help them out. But they were completely on their own. They weren't getting any help from headquarters, and it killed them.
Yeah, and that's you need also just even your volunteers to get used to how tough a campaign is. It feels with a lot of new parties, people go out and they door knock for like maybe a day or two, and they think, oh, this is hard, I'm gonna take a week off. Like, if you ever see an actual major party, the people who volunteer for those parties, or especially paid staff, it is every single day you're working 12 hours a day. And there was never that 12 hours a day effort that you saw with the PPC in either election. In my area, I never even saw the candidate. I never even saw someone drop off literature. It was ridiculous. And we're in Alberta, where they should be doing well. And it's not like, well, we have no chance of winning that seat, so we didn't put as much effort into it. You can't win any of the seats. You actually should be putting effort into all of them to dig out a base. But sorry, I just wanted to go to something. Sorry if it seems like we're debating you, Michelle. It's more so you're actually giving just decent stuff for us to talk about. And so Michelle said, except the Conservatives are the party that signed on to the Agenda 2030, which is the thing that actually threatens our sovereignty. How can they be the one to guide us out? I would say with Agenda 2030, nobody cares. Nobody cares. The people who even signed on to it don't even care about Agenda 2030. It's just they just signed on to something that sounds nice without any actual feeling that they're going to try and achieve it. Someone like Jagmeet Singh or Justin Trudeau are crazy enough to try and achieve it, but as bad as Aaron O'Toole was, Aaron O'Toole probably didn't care much about it. It's like with WEF and stuff. I hate the WEF. I hate the UN, but I don't need someone to exactly like put in their platform that I'm going to try and arrest someone from the WEF. Because the best thing to do with all these agenda, the UN agendas, the WEF, the WHO, is just ignore them, because they don't mean anything. They only are dangerous if you are stupid enough to engage with their ideas. But if you go to any conservative convention, nobody cares about Agenda 2030. If you brought it up to someone, they would have to ask you what that is. Even MPs would have to ask you what that is. Nobody really. It's one of those things where people assume that issues that they've researched a lot are relevant. I have tons of issues I'll never talk to people about because they would have no clue what I'm talking about. I'm like, the Canada should help arm like the Georgian military so they can better defend their borders. People would be like, Georgia's like Georgia the state. They wouldn't know what I was even talking about.
So I want to go into the last sentence of this, which is how can they be the ones to get us out? And the answer is, well, they won't. You can. Like, the thing with the Conservative Party is they will go to where the people are. I think this is the big win for tonight. And I think tonight's debate kind of showed, for the moment at least, this iteration of the Conservative Party understands that their base is against all of this and is playing towards it. So I think you've already done a good job. So what I'm basically saying is, like, how do we make sure that the Conservative Party, or how the Conservative Party ever lead us out? Political parties come to where the people are. So, the way that the Conservative Party says, okay, no to Agenda 2030, or really takes the Wyatt approach, because Wyatt's right. The best way to deal with all this nonsense is just like ignore it and like not sign on to it. Like, granted, it's nice that, it's nice that they're against it during a campaign and not for it. This is a sharp turn from the O'Toole days. But the way to get out of it is basically have the base of the Conservative Party be like, we don't want this. You endorse this, you lose us. So I think what tonight showed is Conservative Party politicians understand that if they endorse that type of stuff, they're done. And that was, I think, the big win of tonight is it showed the Conservative Party understands that the freedom movement is part of the party and has power.
There's a reason why Leslie Lewis went after Scott Aitchison for saying that we have to stop letting any of our members or members of our party talk about conspiracy theories. And then she went after him because she's been getting a lot of clout and a lot of attention on media for going into interviews and going at CTV and CBC interviewers for saying that she's somehow crazy or she's somehow engaging in conspiracy theories, for saying that the WHO and the WEF and the media is actively trying to undermine Canada's sovereignty. She's that's an actual point of her campaign that's been very good. She doesn't need exactly a formally written up policy of what to do with the WF, because at the end of the day, all she has to really do is call them out and make them culturally unacceptable for politicians to be associating with. That's kind of what you want, is that you want it to be culturally, you want it to become politically, political poison to engage at all with the UN, other than showing up and calling everyone anti-Semitic who shows up, because they're all anti-Semitic.
Are we going
to? I'm saying that as being all the countries tend to only draft up resolutions against Israel and attack Israel. That's what the UN exists to do.
So are we going to cover the French debate? It is the official position of the National Telegraph that French isn't a real language.
Yeah,
it doesn't even exist. We don't acknowledge the existence of Quebec. We are like the Palestinians, and we just don't acknowledge Israel exists, even though it does. That's the National Telegraph's thing, is because we can't speak French, it doesn't exist.
We only cover debates that happen in English, Pig Latin, African click languages, and Old English, and Middle English too. We do all the Englishes.
And in Middle Earth-based debates. We will review, if any of the candidates get in a fight about Lord of the Rings, even though I haven't read the books.
If they can speak Orcish, they just automatically win.
Is Orcish the language? I know
it's a bastardization of Elvish.
Ah, can you speak it?
No.
Damn.
I don't even like Lord of the Rings all that much. It's okay. I just don't love it.
Are we going to host a debate? Yes, it'll be the Wyatt versus Daniel fight to the death.
Yeah. Actually, it would be really funny if we had a debate where we just had party people representing each campaign show up and a debate for their person.
That'd be dope.
I'm actually going to see if I can try and drive up for the Edmonton debate on May 11th and see if I can go and interview some of the candidates before the actual debate starts. Maybe I'll tell them what to say on the stage so they don't hurt themselves.
Except Patrick Brown, who I'm totally fine if he hurts himself.
I don't think Patrick Brown knows what Edmonton is.
What do you think is going to happen to Patrick Brown when he's in Alberta? Like, is Patrick Brown going to die? Like, is he just stop existing? Like,
Patrick Brown will never go inside. Patrick Brown will only see Northeast Calgary and Lethbridge. That's the only two. Anywhere where there is a heavy amount of minority voters who don't even probably vote in federal elections, that's where he's going to be going. He will be getting the non-voter vote.
Are you guys going to rig the election? Yes.
Yes.
Put your bets on. We will make it that I end up being the next Conservative Party leader, and then I just tear it down.
Oh, sorry. I like Michelle's comment that Michelle Rempel will be there to protect Patrick Brown. That's the funniest thing ever, is how much Michelle Rempel is backing Patrick Brown. It's just silly. I like how she's not even just endorsing him, actively working for his campaign to make sure that nobody ever respects her again. I hope whoever becomes the leader just opens up her riding, like her riding for a nomination race, because she will lose. There is no one who will come to Michelle Rempel's aid anymore. She's just kind of dead, like political. Like how popular was she just 3 years ago?
Not anymore. Good question. Oh wait, no. Are there any kinds of terrorists Patrick Brown doesn't? Patrick. The answer is no. The answer is no.
He wouldn't support like.
Oh, maybe like the alt-right. He wouldn't
support like the UDA, like the Ulster Defense Force, but he'd be okay with the IRA because the IRA likes Hamas.
Yeah, the IRA, Hamas, big friends. Patrick Brown, big friend of the Hamas.
If you are pro-sovereignty of your country, if there is such a thing as a terrorist organization that's pro-sovereignty, he'd be against that one. So technically, he's against the UVA.
Hamases. Can we call that Patrick Brown's campaign strategy, trying to appeal to the Hamases?
Yeah.
I think that's
Oh, man. We need a new parody Twitter account for this.
Okay. If someone's going to hit a Patrick Brown parody account. Grand Mufti Patrick Brown.
Oh, but see, sorry, Michelle Rempel also, this is a great transition back to the WEF. This is why you don't really have to worry about the WEF. As long as your elected official is not as stupid as Michelle Rempel, they're pretty much going to be safe from being influenced. And you might think, hey, my guy's pretty dumb. But think about how dumb Michelle Rempel is. They're not that dumb. It has to be like Justin Trudeau, Michelle Rempel. I cannot name any of our MPs. They're like because they're so boring.
Yeah, they're all.
There's another person who could be influenced.
Oh, they're all.
Seamus O'Regan, who's like the worst version of Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, he is the worst version of Pete Buttigieg, but he's a lot better at doing to Justin Trudeau and friends. The power of alcohol, losing your inhibitions. I think we've spilled that secret that Seamus O'Regan likes to the higher up liberals, and that's how he got his job.
Yeah, well, it is. That's a good thing to leave people on, maybe.
Yeah, Wyatt does not want. So, okay, I think this is a good time to shut down. Someone did ask me the Detroit Lions draft. I like it. I think Hutchinson's a safe pick as an edge rusher. I did think Thibodeau was the best. I think the Walker pick at 1 was insane, so it worked out for the Lions. And I do like trading up. I like trading up. Be aggressive. Come get Jameson Williams. Also, didn't have to trade much. They fleeced the Vikings. So they also screwed over the Vikings, which I love. So go Lions. Are they going to be a good team this year? No, they're not going to be a good team this year. But if they are a really bad team this year and they can get Bryce Young, watch out. So the problem with the Lions is they might be good enough now to not be able to get a first-round quarterback and be in quarterback limbo going forward. And that's the very Lions thing that will happen. Is they might be good enough now to get into quarterback limbo. But if they're still a bad team next year and they can get a first-round quarterback, I think look out for the Lions. I think the Lions could be a playoff team in 2-3 years.
Oh, hey, wait. I just want to quickly answer the last couple of questions just because.
No,
it's the Michelle one.
Yes.
Let Michelle have a question. The comment. There you go. I can't figure out why she decided to shoot her political career in the foot and she's referring to Michelle Rempel, because Michelle Rempel is dumb enough, is both dumb enough and I don't know, misguided enough that she desperately wants to be Chrystia Freeland. She's the only person who wishes that she will one day grow up to be Chrystia Freeland, so she will do anything that Chrystia Freeland would do. What would Chrystia Freeland do? She has a "What would Chrystia Freeland do" wristband. Is Wyatt a real person? Not really. And should I buy dip on Bitcoin? I don't know.
It's the official position of the National Telegraph that Bitcoin's awesome.
Yeah.
Bitcoin
but we
is
also
good.
Don't know if you should invest in it, because that would be a stupid thing for anyone to give investment advice who's not a stockbroker.
Yeah, so yeah, we don't give advice, but all I will say is Bitcoin to the moon. Oh, my Bitcoin glasses are downstairs. Oh, I missed them. Anyway, thanks so much for coming to our post-debate breakdown. We'll do the other English one. Wyatt will be there. He was doing chores for his mom. Great son, Wyatt. Wyatt is a great son. Miss Claypool will be very happy, and we will see all of you guys tomorrow or the next day or whenever the next TNT thing goes out. Good night.